Foxclan Publications. Stepping into the light.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt of the Authors Podcast, Stepping into the Light. I would just like to take a moment to ask everyone that is watching this video to like and to share and to also subscribe. That helps us out tremendously so that we can bring more people to our channel and get the message out about what we are doing here. It would mean a great deal to Wesley, Tim, Joe, and I if you would do that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you continue to tune in every week. Thank you, and our podcast is coming up next. Hello, this is Matt, and I want to thank you once again for tuning in to the Authors Podcast. Before our podcast begins, I did want to mention that some things discussed in this podcast may be considered controversial. Of course, we ask that you come into this podcast with an open mind and, at the very least, consider it entertainment. However, I did want to mention that very soon we will be providing evidence of the things that we discuss on this podcast. So we do hope that you will look at that evidence and go from there. Anyways, beyond that, we do hope you enjoy this podcast as we'll be introducing a new member today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and your podcast begins now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt. Welcome to the Authors Podcast, Stepping into the Light. We have everybody joining us today and a special guest. So I really am excited about this particular episode, and I think everyone is going to enjoy this. All right. And Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Joe, and I'm a demonologist.
Yeah, I'm Jim. I'm a lead investigator.
I'm Wesley, and I'm a paranormal investigator and author.
I believe this is episode 6. So this is good stuff. So hey, Wesley and Tim and Joe, appreciate you joining us today. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, and our guest today is Joe Eder. Many of you that have read my books, you will know Joe. He was also on 2 episodes of A Haunting. He was on season 7, episode 7, Child's Play. And he was also on season 8, episode 1. He was the one that Melissa and I would always call to help come get these entities out with us. But, better yet, I'll let Joe talk about himself, but he was also a part of one of our biggest cases that we'll talk about in future episodes, including Hotel Hell. All right, Joe, what you got?
Oh, okay. Well, I won't go too long in the brief history of me, but before I started all this, I was listening to Coast to Coast on Savannah at my job. And I said, so me and Debbie were kind of enthusiasts on the paranormal. So I said, honey, that's so anyways, we went. Honey, do you remember that author that there was an author that I was listening to? It was Kelly, wasn't he? Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. He mentioned Kelly Spurlock in one of the books. And I basically was getting done with the Seers because I just, they give a lot of predictions and stuff like that, and they had a hard time reading me. But I had one cool guy called Ken, but that's another time for another story. So, anyway, so we get up to Savannah. We get in touch with Kelly. Kelly comes over, and I'm thinking, I was thinking maybe she's just gonna read my future, like you gotta get a car, you gotta get a lot of money, the general stuff that they tell you. So Kelly sits down. And she's having a hard time reading me. But she sits down and says, Joe, she says, now mind you, all I was going to do was just get a reading, and that was it. So she goes, your technique is going to be used all over the world one day to help get rid of the demonic. It's your time. haven't you always felt there was something special? I said, well, everybody thinks in their life, feels that it's supposed to be a special event in their life that's supposed to transpire or is coming. So I got excited about it. I said, that's great, because I love helping people. But, so Kelly basically tells me what I need to do, and I got that under my belt. Excuse me if I go back and forth. So the first case that I did was a couple down in St. Pete, and they had a demonic entity in their apartment. People move in, and then people move out. The young lady was from Michigan, like I am, and she called us, and we went down there. A friend before that died was trying to help us, but she couldn't understand what the M meant. It carved an M, literally an M into the floor. And she saw some vodka bottles moving and disturbing things that was happening. And then I found out, I said, that M is your friend Mike, I think his name was. So it was interesting because all of a sudden I was giving her, an insight of what this guy was. And believe it or not, the entity might have been talking to me. I don't know. I can't ever prove it, but it was also interesting how it all took place. So Debbie and I, and a friend that at the time was with us, didn't want the demonic entity following her and her husband, and it was affecting her husband. So when everybody left, and I did the blessing kit, and I did what I was supposed to do, and as far as I know, it never came back. There was another woman that met the old hag. The old hag was I think Wesley knows who this is, but I'm gonna leave the name out. But anyways, she's a seer like Kelly was, and the old hag was harassing her, I think, and her boyfriend. Anyways, long story short is she was seeing shadow spiders on the wall, the shadow man in the house or the apartment. So I get a hold of her through Kelly, and I talked to the woman. I said, it's going to be gone in 7 days. So I mailed the blessing kit to her. She did it, and the last day before it was supposed to be the 7th day, it came down on top of her again, and she could feel its breath, and it was scaring the hell out of her. And she called me because I was at Leo's, and on Saturday night, I said, don't worry, it'll be gone by tomorrow. Well, sure. God made apples, it was gone. There was another woman after that. She was a Mormon. And with I don't want to get into religion as far as, everybody has a right to what they think is the correct religion. But anyways, I don't want to get in trouble. What I said previously. What I will say is, when they leave the church, certain things happen. She was being attacked by a demonic entity, her daughter and her son. I sent the blessing kit up. I said, and I helped her at the same time she did the blessing kit, and the demon was gone. And she says, what are you? Yeah, I said, what do you mean, what am I? I'm just a man. She says, well, whatever you did, I've never seen a human being do that. And I said, well, and I blew it off. And I said, well, I'm just glad it's gone. Then it was attacking her. In between that, it was attacking her daughter. And the dream was the demon would come in and scream at her and terrify her. Every night she was having the same dream. And what happened was, she said this man or angel came in and yanked the demon right out of the room. And the young lady showed a picture of me. She says, that's the man who did this. And she never knew anything about me, the young girl. Nothing about me. She was in, okay, but I finally got rid of the demon. In reality, she was in Colorado with her dad, and she couldn't get through. And I was talking, she called me in hysterics. I said, look, I'm going to ask Michael the Archangel to help you. Now, mind you, she couldn't get a hold of her daughter. But all of a sudden, I think a day later, she said, I was terrified in my tent. This angel came to me, Michael the Archangel, and said, you'll have no more problems anymore. Now, I can't make that stuff up, and it's a true story. So, when that happened, I was talking to Kelly, and Kelly says, there's this young man called Wesley Fox. He's going to be a great author today. I said he basically could help you get a team together and start helping people, and that's what was great. So me and Wesley, I think it was what about 20? I think around 2013. I'm not in that era. Yeah. So we hit it off, and Wesley and I had a lot of the equipment up here for the paranormal stuff to help, and I sent it to Wesley because I get rid of. I don't need to use the equipment. I basically know when they're in the house. Anyways, I don't need. I only use it to detect that they are there, that there's an indication that there's something going on. Wesley needed that for his investigative expertise and skills to start to do, the paranormal investigating.
Yes, we had
Right. So Wesley, I think Wesley had this one case with a young boy about 5 years old. Announced it. I think the girl, he had a sister was 12 or something like that, and there was a mother involved. And I think Wesley tried to get, I don't know if it was the Catholic priest, he tried to get a priest out there and they wouldn't do it. Am I right, Wesley? They tried to get somebody out there and they wouldn't help. So Wesley wanted to...
Makers would help us all.
Right, so Wesley's the kind of person you show me, then I'll believe it. So I think I sent the blessing kit to them. Wesley did I don't know if I was on the phone.
You had to send us one too.
Huh?
You had to send us one too, because on our way home from that case, something tried to push our car off the road, and then also something attacked Melissa in the shower. In fact, I think she was being attacked in the shower about the time you and I were on the phone together for the first time.
Right. Because now, we've been doing this years later. The team, Wesley and all of them protect themselves. They can't get to them. So Wesley did the blessing, and what was it? The next day it was gone, right? I mean,
yeah, it was gone by the next day, easy.
So Wesley said, "You made me a believer." So then we had another case in Georgia where furniture was being toppled over and stuff like that, and the young couple were being terrorized. So I actually drove up with Debbie, and Tim, you were there, right? Tim was there,
George, I wasn't. No.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
oh, hey, buddy. So, anyways, so we went in there and we did the blessing kit. This is an interesting story about investigators who deal in this type of situation. So we got rid of it, and there was a young lady. Wesley probably would know her name better than I would. I don't know if she didn't believe in it, or because when I looked at her, I could tell she really didn't believe what was going on. She killed herself a year later. The demons got to her. I believe the demons got to her. Because these demonic entities come into an environment, they study you, they find out what your weaknesses are and your strengths, and they start gnawing at you. Now, some people think, oh my God, they do it within, like in the movie, within a couple of days. It might take years, and then they finally get to you. And now, when I was talking to Wesley one day, I said, Wesley, the activity within 10 years is going to be really bad. And it did. Now, there's another thing about exorcism that I thought was that, and me and Wesley and Tim, I know Tim and Hubert and that were involved in that. When you do an exorcism, or the priest does, when you sit the person down. Now, I believe they have to get checked by a doctor. They have to get checked by a psychiatrist, at least a psychologist, or somebody saying that most of the time that they're sane, they're in good health. And what I do, or Wesley probably does now, and Tim does, is you bless the person, and I'll tell you why you bless that person. When you bless an individual through Christ, it completely absolves them of their sins, meaning that the demonic entity cannot grab on to any sins of that person past or future at that time because they're cleansed. And since they can't hold on to anything, it becomes harder and harder for them to stay in that body. And then it starts, because now Christ has come in and it's burning them, and it's and they can't last for more than an hour. And I think Wesley and Tim will tell you the exorcisms we've done in the past. Yeah, I think Tim, they last and Wesley within what, an hour, if that, and they're gone.
Yeah, generally, except for the one Kinsey's, which was done.
Yeah.
It happened there, what I call hotel hell.
Okay, and I'll tell you why, because
That was bad.
Go ahead. Well, I believe Lilith was one that possessed her. Now Lilith, we know what Lilith, it goes way, way back to Adam and Eve. But Lilith did not want to be on bottom, or she didn't want to be submissive. She wanted to be the top dog. So she left. She said God's name, and she left. Now, I'm not saying that's gospel. There's different theories. Some people believe it, some people don't. My belief system is that I think that's what we're dealing with. Tim can attest to that, because this same entity got Mackenzie 2 times. Right, Tim? I think she got him at one at that night.
Yep. It happened. Yeah, right? It happened twice. Yep.
Right, and then it happened at the motel, and I was there. I saw the energy go between Mackenzie's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now, I'm briefly going to talk about, which is going to be talked about later on, is the bed and breakfast.
Now, did Kenzie have Jesus, Joe?
Yes.
Oh, so she did have Jesus. Okay, I was just wondering.
Well, are you talking about Mackenzie when she was in bed and breakfast that night and got possessed?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if it was so much a possession as a. Now, I don't have all the answers, and the only thing I can think of is temporary possession. And then, but you got to understand, that bed and breakfast was a very bad cell in this world.
Okay. I was just wondering, that's all.
No. Because if she was possessed, usually it's not one-time occurrence, it's several occurrences. And now, Tim and Wesley, now Mackenzie before that was fine, right? There was no history of.
Nope, absolutely not at all.
Yeah. So we're learning. We're learning as we go in this field, and it's interesting that. But if you have a powerful, if you have such a powerful entity as a Lilith, and there's ranks and demons, there's very strong demonic entities, which means even if she has Jesus in her, for some reason it can get in, because all of us have thoughts of negative and positive, and Mackenzie was scared in that environment. She might have lost sight, maybe her faith, if possible, for a few minutes. And whatever the thing was, it grabbed her temporarily and then left. And then again, it hit her again. Now, there's been people in this world that have been born again, that love Jesus and everything, and they still get possessed. And you say, well, how is that? Well, we don't have all the answers. All we know, it's very rare, but it does happen. But I could say this, Matt, it influenced her. Not possessed her, it influenced her. This Lilith, or whatever it was, had enough energy to influence her. Now, there's another intelligent man said, when a demon comes into your body, it puts you to sleep, and then it takes over. So just like a psychiatrist does hypnotizing somebody and puts them to sleep, the demon could have done that to her. It could have put her to sleep, took over, and then when we came into the picture, it was too strong, and then Mackenzie woke up, it was gone. That's what I equate it to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened, because she told. Yeah, it actually told us that she's asleep and tried to talk. We tried to talk to her, and it said no, she's asleep. Ashley was telling us that she was asleep, that they had done that. So yes, that did happen.
So that's what I think. I think that's what's happening. So that's why Matt, that's why we profile. Because when we profile, we're studying the situation of what's happening to that individual and what's causing that to happen to that individual, or what's causing it to happen to that environment. So as now, when I loved him, like I love Wesley. I mean, we all three get together, we're dynamite, with the Holy Trinity, because there's such unity and power with all three of us here together. Now, I mean, we're quickly at the bed and breakfast. Me and Tim were there. Tim, now I think that when everybody was gone, I don't know if they were getting lunch or dinner or something like that. Yeah. There was activity, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go too much into that. I'm just kind of going here and there, just touching. But the next, story that we talk about in bed and breakfast, because that was a very bad sell. And we had an encounter when we were in that facility that night. That I said something was going to show up, and it did. But I won't talk about that the next time. But everybody was kind of nervous and very, very scared. But anyways, so when me and Wesley helped the Cubit, that situation, we became stronger and smarter, and I would get visitations and stuff like that. So there's another thing. I'm working on a case right now. There's a young lady up in Georgia, and I'll keep the name out of it. Her boyfriend is, I think, perfectly possessed, and that's another whole situation. But I went in there with this young lady, and we cleansed it. We cleared the whole house. Everything was fine.
Hey, Joe. Before we continue, I would like to hear a little bit more about those blessing kits that you were referring to earlier. Could you tell me a little bit about those, and then we can continue where we left off?
Okay, well, I'm just touch that briefly, and what I'm leading to is and Tim could probably tell you, because also I'm glad that he's on. There is a device that we came up with that is a disruptor, and I'll explain it. You can buy it in Amazon, and honey, what is it? It's that it works on ultrasound, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that Debbie? Is that what it does? Okay, so it works. Right, Tim. So Tim, when I was talking to Tim, basically what the unit does, what it usually does, it gets rid of rodents, bugs, any type of pests inside the squirrels, any type of thing in the walls. They get freaked out and they take off. So I came up with the idea, and I started talking with Tim and Wesley, and we tried it out. And I think Tim's tried it out, but it does work. There was a case, I think in Pasadena, that I was involved with, and the girl was possessed, and she kept marrying Oriental men. She was married like 7 or 8, 9 times. Well, they actually recorded demonic activity in the bedroom at night. So the next day I was talking by camera, and I talked to the husband. I said, I'm going to send you these demonic, what I call them demon disruptors. And she wanted nothing to. She says, nope, you're not going to give them to me. You're not going to put them in that room, or nothing. Then they're right then and there. They work. So the young lady I'm helping now, I sent her like 5 of them, and the atmosphere just completely went calm. But the guy who's possessed, I believe, he's going nuts. What they do is this device disrupts. I believe we're all made up of energy, and there's something else. I think I'm trying to go. I'm sorry if I go back and forth. I'm trying to get everything into basically one show tonight. And if you want the next show, I can elaborate on that. But there was a case in Detroit that me and my wife went to. She was being terrorized in her home, and there was one room that was cold. It was completely cold. So we got up there, and So I wanted to test the theory. So we killed the power in the house. The energy of the entity thrived. It increased. I mean, it went way up. And the minute I put the energy back on, it went way back down. You ever notice, and I could be wrong, this is my belief system, that most of your hauntings are at nighttime. Why is that? But during the day, we have a lot of flying through and talking, they're thinking. There's so much activity that it's just very disruptive. Now at nighttime, the energy goes down, meaning we go to bed, and we set the lights off and everything else. So I think there's less current going into the home. So the entity, the demonic entity, can thrive more because nothing is disrupting them. See, they don't have a solid body; they have an astral body. And Tim could probably tell you that a certain frequency can disrupt that, right, Tim? I mean, isn't that possible?
That's right. Yes, it is possible. Yep. Right. I don't know what we can't measure. We don't know how to measure the frequency, but yes, there is one, and I think it's different per wherever you're at or whatever case you're on. Because the frequency is a stronger one than the other.
Right. Now, me and Tim were trying to. I think we came up now when the investigators would go into a location. They were getting attacked, getting hit, tripped, and put on. Well, if we could put this disruptor with a power unit onto us, it would act like within our field. It would give us a booster. So they would have a more. I would say long term for people to use, but in the short term, I think it would give them more protection from them to be attacked or even being fouled. Now the blessing kit, and Tim can attest to this. I came up with some simple prayers. One for cleansing a house. There's also a prayer to break family curses. There's also a prayer for exorcism, and I think I did another prayer for the protection of the home. And what we do usually is we have a St. Michael candle. We have 4 archangels. We put each metal 4 corners of the property outside where it touches the city limits and then the property. We put the metals in the house or apartment in the corner of the home. There's the prayers that we say. And now some people are going to think this is kind of odd, and I'll explain why. We take a Bible and we touch the walls, we touch the ceiling, and we touch the floor. And people say, why you do that? Because that's the essence and the word of our Lord. Words are very powerful. So once the Bible hits that physical property, God becomes the sanctuary for that home. People usually wear the metals on them for a while for protection. We've added frankincense into the mix because that was one of the herbs from Jesus, which makes it a spiritual and physical connection. See, there's 2 points to us. There's a spiritual and a physical. And now, I am not knocking anybody's religion. I'm not knocking anybody who's a priest, who does their own thing. I'm just saying, what we do, it works. And there's almost like a science behind it. So, what we do is when we do a case, Tim, Wesley, or me, we'll go in and now, Wesley, real quick, Tim, we've even caught people that were lying about just to get attention. And what we do is we tape record it, and then we'll ask questions, and sometimes we'll ask the same questions, or we listen very intensely. So when you tell the truth, you can say it 1,000,000 times. When you lie, you got to try to remember. We had one case at the end of Tim was with us. This one woman was talking about she had one priest or something, and all of a sudden she said there was another one. Mm-hmm. And I thought we turned around and said, I thought there was only one. And then we've talked, now there's another thing too. We also have, when we go into a home, we have equipment to detect if there's electronic devices, such as cameras, listening devices, devices that can, make knocking sounds, tape recorders, anything. Because a lot of times you can go into a home and they're faking it because they want, or a business is faking it because now having a paranormal location brings in money, and they want somebody who's a authentic paranormal investigator come in and say, oh yeah, this is haunted, and get in writing or whatever, and then or a famous team from it. So we do it every which we go in there. And first we interview the person. If we think there's something wrong with the location, we check it out, make sure there's no bugs in there that could cause paranormal activity, fake-wise, simulate it. We have done cases where when we started our investigation down the road, there was remember that thing about the witches or something? There was this serial killer that was on this property. Yeah. And I was up there, and they wanted us to check it out. And this was way out in the boonies. I think they wanted to do some Honda.
Yeah, that wasn't a good one. They were up to something.
Yeah, we basically avoided that. So it can be dangerous. So when you go into a situation, okay. So what I'm trying to explain is entity profiling is we find out from the client what was the activity or what is the activity doing. Because when demons make noises, they scratch in the wall, they scream, they want to terrify you. We are physical beings. We can't see them. So when they do something, like when they knock on on wood or they knock on a wall, that's people that are not used to terrify. But now these entities are crossing the line. The veil is becoming thinner, and they can see us. They're now interacting with us. They're grabbing us, they're punching us, they're assaulting us, they're manipulating us, and it's getting worse. It's because now we've addressed that evil is good and good is evil, like it says in the Bible. But my belief system is in God, in Christ, and the angels, and we take no money in this. If you get anybody out there, if you get a paranormal investigator team, what you want them to do is, yes, verify that it's happening, and also they need to be able to get rid of it. That's like a police officer going into a shootout not having his gun. Oh, okay, I know it's there. I see the bad guy, but now I'm losing. When these people call you because they're desperate and they're scared and they've got an unusual event that nobody can really take care of it. But they're looking on you as an individual, as a professional, as you're skilled, and as you know what you're doing, and that you're going to come in there and you're going to help these people. Because that's I believe that's what we were doing. And we did a lot of cases. And it got to all of us. It eventually came and attacked all of us, and none of us were saints. But it came out to me at the worst because they wanted me out of the picture. I've been tripped, I've been pushed. I almost almost killed. A true story. I was coming home from work, and I was coming down the road, and around the other road going the other way is this construction company. There must have been 13 metal studs on the road, and I don't know if you know anything about that, but a friend of mine as a contractor says if they get bent, they can cut your car in half, or they can come up underneath the floorboards. So I got out of the car and I was taking them out, and I tripped, and I was going to take a header right into the road. I was hitting it going faceward, which means it should have killed me. Something turned me around. I hit the road, and my clothes were not even dirty. My uniform should have been all tore up, and I was bruised. I felt like something cushioned it. What I'm trying to tell you is, when you go after evil, it comes after you. And what we do now, as far as I know, with Leslie and the team and Tim and them, and Nikki, I think they say a prayer, and I think they say a prayer after. The prayer protects you. The prayer protects you first, and then it protects you last. And all you're doing is you're asking for God and the angels to be. You're communicating with God. You know. Well, Matt, I'm trying to get everything in a nutshell, but with the blessing kit, we use the archangels because they're the most powerful. And that symbol is a protection of the property from the beginning of your property into the center of it. The St. Michael medal is the one who defeated Satan. And that symbolism there is, in the home, is a reinforcement of protection. The Bible, touching the physical environment, is the Word of God. It gets saturated into the home. The candle is a purification of the location. And the prayers are a way of sealing it because words are very, very powerful. And the words, they stay in the air. So when the demonic entity comes by, they cannot get in. Now, somebody else can, now you can cleanse a home and somebody can sneak the demonic entity into the home. And then, you know, all hell can break loose because next time, the second time they get in, they get stronger. There was a case, I think that, I don't know if you remember this time. I think it was the contact. This was one of our cases. They brought the lady in, and she was staying in the house, in the rooms, and she put a pentagram underneath the bed, and she was doing rituals, you know, and calling in demonic. And then when they got rid of her, they were having all that problem. So I think we came in and we cleansed it. So there's a lot of times you can bring somebody into your environment and that's doing something in the home, and all of a sudden you have demonic, activities, and that's probably why. That's why when we go in, we do our case study. We talk to the individuals, which is the client, of everything they can possibly remember. How did it start? And then I'll come in and I'll listen to what's going on, and basically I'll explain why the entity is doing that. But we all know why demonic entities are doing what they're doing, because they want to destroy us. And it's awful interesting that technology-wise, we're advancing. We're going leaps and bounds. But spiritual-wise, we're going backwards. Why is that? And why is there more activity now? Because there's less people that don't believe in God. That they believe in the essence of what paranormal activity is. And they believe the devil more than they believe God. And people, it's thrill seekers now. They want experiences. It's very dangerous. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get hurt. Not just physically, psychologically, they can hurt you. And now there's Nefarious is one of the movies that came out that's scaring a lot of people. Because I saw Nefarious, I think that's, if you guys don't know anything about that, I think that's the most true essence of what demonic activities, of what these demons are doing. And what they basically want to do, which most of us know, they hate you. These people that sell their souls to the devil, and they think they set you up, and then they let you fall. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to help people get rid of it, because to reiterate, when you go into a home as a paranormal investigator, they want you to verify it most of the time, yes, but they want you to get rid of it. Now, Tim probably might know more than this, but we've gotten in contact before, and when we got this other company, there's other paranormal investigators, and they couldn't do anything. And these TV shows, I think most of them are fake. And the YouTube, I'm not insulting anybody. Most of the shows are pretty good. Some of them are fake. I don't really watch them anymore because I've done it. I know what's real. And most of the time when you go in, and Tim can also tell you this, most of the time you go in, nothing happens at first. Tim saw stuff that you wouldn't believe he saw. Bobby Mackey's famous, you heard about that for years. I don't know if Tim, but I think Tim, Wesley, Nikki, and all went. Nothing happened.
Nothing.
I don't think. Right, nothing happened. And you know why? It's because they know Tim and Wesley and Nikki are the real deal. Or they're faking it. And I'm not saying they are. They might not. But to me, when you... this is my belief system, and I'm just saying it as my point of view. I want to make that clear. When you have an activity that's like that, the prisons, probably Mackey's and these other places, and they're demonic, why are you exposing that to these people? You are potentially exposing something that's literally dangerous, evil, and can really destroy your life. See, people are not taking this seriously. See, I'm the belief system that you shouldn't, I don't care how you dress it up. You bring people into an area like that is not safe, and you expose them to that type of danger, something's going to happen. Like the Warrens, with Tim, what was that? I'm getting brain dead. The Warrens, when they did the doll, what was that?
Annabelle.
Amber. It was
Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Yeah.
Annabelle. There was a kid that I think there was a kid that was mocking Annabelle. He rode a motorcycle with a girl, and then an hour later he's dead. Why would you expose that? Why would you? And they had to bring a priest in every week to bless him.
Right.
And they got all that. You shouldn't. You would not go to a place that was, meltdown, and it's got radiation, and you wouldn't sit there and bring people in and get exposed to radiation. You just no. But see, they figure this is fake, and they can't. And this is where I'm coming from. I've talked to some people in these cases, and that's exactly what they did. They visited one of these places, and now they got it in their home. And the investigators are experiencing that. But, the Cubist was an interesting story. We're saving the one thing, the bed and breakfast, for later, because that was just. I knew Wesley and Tim on this one because it was just a bad sell. But I don't want to go any further. But it was a very interesting case.
Wesley, Tim, Joe, and I all thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. Because of the length of this interview, I have decided to split this interview up into two parts. Today, Tuesday, this premiered at 7 p.m. The second part will premiere Thursday at the same time, 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching this after they've both premiered, just go to the next video in our playlist and watch the second part. We thank every one of you that have listened to our podcast, but please take a moment to like, subscribe, and also to share our podcast. Every last one of you matters to us, and when you do that, it helps our channel grow. And by growing, the algorithms will pick up and promote this video to more people. That would mean a great deal to us, as we have a message that we want to share with a lot of people. Also, if you have any questions or would like to be part of this podcast, maybe you have a story to tell, a paranormal experience, maybe you wrote a book and you did it yourself like we do, give us an email at foxclanpublications@gmail.com, Foxclan Publications, all as one word, and then @gmail.com, and we'd be happy to hear from you, possibly schedule a podcast with you, and who knows, maybe we'll get to meet a lot of people this way. So don't hesitate to email us if that interests you. You can also email us at that same email if you're interested in any of our books and would like us to sign them and send them to you. So give us an email if any of those things interest you. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in, and don't forget to tune in 2 days at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Thank